Hello everyone, Miss Art Garden here, and today I'm going to be digitally painting hands, and I'm going to kind of go through the steps of how I do this. And this is kind of a continuation of a video I showed where you can kind of break down hands and draw them from a photo. And I am sorry about my voice, I am still sick. I'm recording these back to back. I might still kind of sound a little bit sick. So we'll go ahead and get started. In the last one I showed you the sketch. I wasn't tracing this, I was just kind of sketching off of this drawing, this picture, which is from Pexels.com. I will put the link in my description. This is a free domain or public domain, free to use photo, so hopefully no one will have any problems with it. This one I'm actually going to use for reference on painting the actual hands. So I'm going to resize this now and put it over here just for the color reference. It's going to be kind of small, and then I'm going to bring up my sketch and I'm going to move these over just so I have a little bit more room for you guys to see what's going on here. And I'm going to leave this up here for the whole time just so I can keep showing you how I reference it to paint. And like I said, you can get the exact image, the link in the description below if you want to follow along. First things first, I'm going to actually adjust the levels of this one a little tiny bit to the point where you can more easily see the shadows and stuff. We'll go kind of midway. So that was before, and this just darkens everything, and it's just a quick little thing to help me see where the best highlights and the darkest shadows are. And then I'm going to change my background color. I do not want it to be pure white because it'll mess with my color perception. So I'm not gonna copy this background, but we'll just kind of make like a dark grayish, greenish background. That's fine with me. To make these more visible, I'll just go ahead and invert those colors, and then we're gonna take whatever sketch you've done here. I'm just gonna make this a little bit less visible, and then I'm going to make a new layer, call it color, and we're just going to color in the flat area of these colors. So let's pick kind of a skin tone. So you can think about like if you want your skin color to, in your mind you perceive that to be the skin color, even though there's multiple colors, maybe like a little bit redder. So then you want to kind of go to the mid-tone of it. So I'm going to pick this mid-tone here, and my brush opacity is 100%, whatever program you're using. My hardness I've decided to put down to like 80 for coloring. If you put it all the way up, it gets these weird like edges to it, like the circle edges. So I put it at about 80, so it kind of smooths that out. It looks a little fuzzier, but anyways, that's my reasoning in case anyone needed to know. And we're on color, and I'm literally just gonna block color this in. So you can just take a minute and follow the line areas and color in the shape of the hands. Okay, so that's kind of filled in. Now you can erase that and see it's a little bit of a mess. So what I'm going to do is I'm not erase it, hide it. I'm going to turn this opacity down even further. I'm going to change the color a little bit. I'm going to make it a little bit darker so it'll be easier for me to see the edges. The purple against peach just wasn't doing it for me. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to see where all the lines don't match up, and I'm just going to kind of clean it all up and keep hiding this until I like the shape of it a little bit more. So now we have kind of more of like a cleaner shape. There's still some rough edges and stuff, but it's just generally the silhouette that I want, which will make it a little bit easier to work with. So now that we have that, we're going to put in, well, there's two things. I like to make a duplicate layer. You've probably seen this before if you've watched any of my other videos. Great clipping mask. When I draw on it, I won't have to worry about being real careful about the edges. It'll just stick right to that silhouette. So now we're going to pick a shadow color, and I kind of go more saturated and in the darker areas. And I'm going to turn my opacity down to like 20 to 25. I'm going to turn my hardness down a little bit to around 50. Okay, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and block the colors. You can look at this for reference, or you can just think about it yourself. Obviously the shadows are going to be in the areas where there's the most dips in the hand. So around the fingers, in between the fingers. These will all be a little bit darker, these where the joints go in, and you can kind of see that here. I'm not going to follow this exactly. If you want like a tutorial on how to just totally copy an image, that's great for practice. It's not so great like if you want to learn how to like do it, I think, a little bit more freely. So I would be a little bit careful of that, but I'm just gonna mostly, reference it, I guess is the word. We'll just kind of not be too close. So I'm just drawing in, these areas here, and I'm just kind of filling in the areas that'll have like this palm area might have a little bit of a darker thing. Just kind of draw that in. It'll go down like this and over here, and then this area over here. This will actually have like a light catch at the bottom because, you know, round objects often do. But for now, we're just gonna kind of sketch in these shadow areas. And then there's some darkness here, some darkness here, between the webs here, and under the thumb here. Like that. And we'll do this finger too, this hand too. We'll start with this pinky here. I've seen like a little thing. I'm gonna go down to this layer and erase this. I missed that. And just kind of draw in this area here. There'll be some shadows where the light can't get in between the fingers. We'll do some kind of like shadows here. We're just blocking it in. So this would go up. You can see here there's a bit of a triangular color. You can kind of add that in if you want. And then we'll go down and follow this line here and this webbing area. I did not draw this exactly like this hand in my Let's Draw It. I just kind of went with it. We're just going to keep doing this here. We just want these shadows, to, you know, for the reference of them. You can put it there, and then this whole area here will be a little bit darker, and then this thumb actually is going to kiss this a tiny bit here. Touch it, I guess I should say. And then there's a little bit of a triangle here, and we'll just go down. These back fingers will be lit. You can kind of sketch in some colors there. And then we're gonna draw this little area here. We'll have some shadows, and then under here. And it's okay if they're really messy, you're just blocking them in for now, and then this thumb here. Okay, so now we have this sort of blocked in. It's not the best, but we're getting the hang of it. I'm going to add just a little shadow to all of these fingers under the knuckle joint here. To kind of emphasize it, I'm going to go in now and add some even darker shadows around the knuckles. Maybe one here and here. You know, there's a knuckle joint here that goes in here like this. And let's go ahead and pick up a little bit more of a highlighted color like this. Add some lights and some highlights. So you can kind of see the way, I'm going to switch between this and the highlighted color, and you can kind of see the way that the joints work is that there's a bright highlight and then there's like a complementary shadow to kind of promote the 3D-ness of it. So we'll put the highlight here. Fingers tend to be, I know they look round, but they tend to have very flat backsides. So you'll probably just want like a solid color for there and there. And when you're doing these, you'll definitely want that. We can put some of the highlights up here, like where I said it would be, you know, all bright over around this area. And then you'll want this touch here where the backlight's catching it. And then for these fingers, we'll probably keep them about the same. It's just like kind of a flat color, and I'm going to make this a little bit darker like that. And then we're going to have, I never really defined that, there, just like that. Now we've kind of blocked in the shadows and the lights. It's coming together a little bit more. We just have to add a little bit more, you know, love to it, a little bit more variety of colors. Before we go any further, I'm going to take overlay, and I'm going to pick a green and a blue. So there's the blue, there's the green. I'm going to turn my opacity way down to like 9, that's good. And I'm actually just going to add, like especially in the highlight areas, I'm just going to add some splashes of those greens and the blues. So we'll start with the green, and we'll just kind of do this here. And what this does is it just, like, you know, in real life, your skin or just anything reflects different light colors. You're not just getting white lights, light bounces around and stuff. So this kind of gives it more interest. It looks a little bit more realistic in a way. And oops, I missed the highlight or the shadow there. I'm going to have to come back for that. But right now we'll just add like a little bit of green here, and then I'm going to switch over. I'm switching by hitting X, by the way, if anyone's using Photoshop along with me. And the blue, I'm going to go a little bit crazy around these highlight areas here, like maybe the sky or just some water, something is bouncing off of them, and just kind of establish these now. So when you blend them in later, they kind of disappear and become really unnoticeable, but they look really cool, I think, when you add a little bit of colors, especially hands. I don't really take a lot of time usually to make my hands look nice, but it's important. So I'm going to add a little bit here. If you're drawing these super realistic, you'll want to add fingernails. I'm not going to do too much of that. I'm actually going to take away my hand guides now because I think we've got it pretty much sketched in. So I'm going to hide that, and we're going to continue without them from now on. So one last little blue here, and I'm going to go back to normal, and I'm going to bump my opacity back to the 20 to 25% range, and I'm going to pick a different kind of shade color, and I'm going to go in and add some more shades. And so this area here will be shaded. I'm going to add a little bit here And the wrinkle I added here needs to kind of be reworked because it needs to come this way instead, which is fine. I'm just going to kind of pick up the colors. I'm switching back and forth between the shade that I don't want to lose and just picking up colors as I want to adjust it in there. Okay, and we're just going to kind of reinforce some of these shadows here and here. And then in here, there's kind of an area here. I'm kind of half looking at this and half just going with it. If you guys want to follow along more closely to the picture, you are welcome to do so. I think that in order for art to be fun, you gotta have some, looseness about it. So I'm gonna make this shadow color a little bit darker and reinforce some of these shadows a little bit more. I will eventually go in with black, but you should not just use black from the beginning because then it all just looks kind of, there's some people who do black and white and add colors, but it's not my style. And if it's your style, that's great. I think I like things looking colorful, so just whatever works for you. No judgment on either side. There's people much better out there than me who use that technique, so I'm not dissing it at all. I just like, using this one. So we'll keep going there. We've reinforced those colors, and now we're going to come back over here, reinforce these shadows. This actually, I've added a lot of shadow here. There's going to be some light here. I guess in here you can see a little crease of skin, so we'll mimic that a little tiny bit. And I'm noticing as I go, I know I had my sketch layer on, I'm going to turn my opacity up. This thumb joint just doesn't look right, so I obviously didn't get it right the first time. So I'm just going to pick up this color. I'm on the layer behind the clipping mask, and I'm actually just going to add some, at 100%, I'm going to add some area to the thumb here. You can see it looks a little weird because I've had clipping mask on. Okay, you can erase this too if you need to reference it. But let's go ahead and actually just merge these duplicate and create clipping mask, and then we'll have a little bit more of a uniformed ability. Oops, I want this down here. And just kind of keep going here and making that adjustment. So now I think I'm looking at this, and I've added some flesh, and now I want to shape it out. So I want to cut this a little bit. I know this is right where the joint is, so I don't want to do this too much. And then this goes out and this goes in like that. Okay. And then the shadow, whoa, I need to turn my opacity back down. So we'll go back to the 25-ish% and just kind of work that in a little tiny bit. I just thought that would look a little bit better. This doesn't look quite right, so I'm going to erase a little touch of this area too. And then go back up here, finalize that adjustment. Okay, just kind of keep working on it. And then I'm going to come in here. This is a little bit thick here now that I've moved this out. So I'm just going to make a little tiny shape adjustment there. Okay, there we go. Now I can add some shadow in that area here, and then the reinforce that thumb joint that I had going. And I'm just picking up the colors, just kind of reinforcing them. So I want this kind of brighter color here on the very edge. Oh, that shows me that I haven't made this as smooth as I could have. So let's go back in and work on that. Just a little tiny touch. It'll be a little fuzzy because of my hardness, but there we go. So it's starting to look good. I want to just push the highlights and shadows, so we're just going to go ahead and keep working them in. I'm going to blend these in. Oh, I have this back on 100. Turn this back to 25. Go on my history and get rid of that. And then I'm just going to kind of keep working in these blocks of colors as I've laid them out now. And then after that, I'll go in and reinforce some of the, the shadows and stuff. So let's go ahead and just kind of skip ahead just a little tiny bit. I will show my work in a faster pace so you can kind of see as I kind of make these little blending motions. And I will meet you back after I have smoothed some of these out. Okay guys, so now I'm just kind of going in here and adding some highlights on the knuckles again to kind of make them stick out a bit. And I will add, go back and bring that color back up, and I'll add some on the flats of the backs of the fingers, like I said. I think this, some here would have some here. So we'll go ahead and add some there, and this joint will come up. And this area here that I've kind of made a little bit too dark, I'm going to add that, I'll blend it in later. And we'll do the same over here. We'll just kind of add some brighter highlights to this area. And I'm going to just kind of work them in around the wrist too. And a little bit there. and then we're going to have some on the edges of the fingers here, and we can do a little bit like in there and across the joint and down and across the joint and down. And then we'll do this one, you know, just a little bit here and a little bit like it's catching here too. And we'll just kind of keep emphasizing those highlights. I'm going to go in and keep working on this silhouette until it's a little bit more like I like. And if I need to, you know, draw something in, I just have to turn my opacity up to 100. Otherwise, I just keep going like this. And go back to here when I'm done. Add a little brightness there. And then just keep working in. So let's have a little brightness here. I'm looking at this now, and there's brightness here. So I'm going to add a little bit up here to re-emphasize that, and then just kind of blend it in with this color here. And I'm gonna just kind of work this in. There's like a little bit of shadow area here. I've come a little too far up. A little bit of highlight area here and here that I want to emphasize. And we'll just kind of do the same here. Kind of blending this in and working these highlights in that I did by picking up the colors. When you're at this 25%, you can blend things in by just kind of picking up, you know, the surrounding colors and then just kind of making like a medium area for them to be blended in. So we have this pretty well done. If you wanted to go in and blend it in more, you can. You know, these instructional videos, I don't want them to be, you know, 5 hours long, so I tend to just kind of go through the most important parts and then just kind of leave it up to refinement stages to be kind of done, you know, later or off camera or whatever. So I'm going to just finish the last little bit of this is pushing the shadows and the highlights, and then if you want to go in and refine, I can show you a little bit. If you wanted to do, you know, fingernails, you could just imply them with a little bit of highlights. And I cannot see I can't see my screen very well right now because of course my sun is blazing right on it, but I think this is about where those fingernails would be. And you can just, you know, go in and detail them out a little bit more, or, you know, whatever you feel comfortable doing. Little adjustments, just as you go, make the adjustments you think need to be done. And pick a little black there and just kind of work that in. All right, so now let's just push these highlights. I'm going to go to color dodge. I'm going to pick a nice bright color. I'm going to turn my opacity way down to 5. And I'm going to turn my hardness down to 0. And so what this will do, actually I'm going to merge these, duplicate, create clipping mask. And then what this will do here is kind of push for these colors. Let's make this a little tiny bit more, like 11%, 10%. This will kind of push the highlights, this color dodge, and just kind of add them in so that you can look like you've got some real great light on your digital painting. The computer sort of does the work for you. So you can help push those highlights a lot. And we'll just kind of go in like so, and then like that, and then the joint area here, the back triangular highlights, especially here, and just kind of keep working them in. So you have some nice bright highlighted areas there. And then we can go back to, let's go to overlay while we have these settings. I'm gonna pick a red or a pinkish color. I'm actually gonna just go over some of the finger ends because they'll have like, you know, sort of a blood look to them. So I want them to look kind of red and nice like that. So maybe, yeah, that looks good. And then I maybe add a little bit here on this side of the hand and here on the underside. So I hope you're getting the idea from this. You just keep making refinements and stuff. I'm going to actually end the video here so it's not just horribly long. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. If you have any requests for future, you know, tutorials, let me know what you want. And I hope you guys stay happy, stay healthy, and I will see you in the next video.